Yes, hello. Sorry, there was no music today. I've been trying to battle with my internet all day. Internet failed me. I don't use Glow, but yes, it's a big one today, and I'm sure everyone is waiting for today. Um, it's about to go down, and we had Roland in here some few minutes ago. I'm sure he will join again. So, how's the day been? You know how we do it. Um it's still the COVID period, and we're hoping that things get better. I hope everyone is safe and everyone is doing well. Right. Very difficult period we all are in, but we know by His grace things will be sorted. Again, if you're just joining, my internet has been awful, but now I've gotten it sorted. Um, I've also got a backup just in case things go wrong. So we wait for Roland. I can see him already. So we're about to get down to business. So if you've got friends around, try and buzz them and tell them we've started already. So as I go into my inbox, I don't know what this is called, but let me just go and find Roland and invite him to the show. It's happening. It's going down, and I've invited Roland, and I'm waiting for him to join. I'm sure internet is not going to be a problem with us. So yeah, hello, Roland.
Hi, Odepii. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I
Excellent.
can hear you loud and clear. I'm going to go and put on my headphones as well.
Okay.
Well, I've not seen you in ages. Look at you. This is a surprise.
You've not seen my lockdown look.
Yeah, you know what? I was looking at your Instagram picture and I saw the comb you put in on there, and I was like, okay, this is so nice. Sorry, one second. Let me just put this on so that I can hear you properly. Yeah. So, yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you very
Yeah,
well.
fantastic. I can hear you very well. So, this is Ibadan Metropolitan Cricket Club, and I need to be careful not to say London Nigerians at some point because you're here. So, what this is about is really we've got young kids around, and we just want them to listen to people who are masters in the game, people who have played the game for long, pick one or two things from them. So we go from how cricket started to, talking about cricket generally, talking about life, how cricket has impacted you, and also drop some insights. And of course, your top 11. Right. So for me, right, I think I met you in the early 2000s. Yeah, maybe late 2000s, yeah. You were in Nigeria, but I was in London, and we met later on. But before then, I've never had your name before, and so of course we've met several times. So one thing that still confuses me is you were in England, then the worry happened, then England happened again. So that I didn't understand, but I know that somewhere there, that was where cricket started. So if you give us that
Yeah,
background.
it's a very interesting story, actually. Like you said, I was born in the UK. I moved
Yep.
to Nigeria as a small boy when I was 6 years old.
Wow.
Uh,
Okay.
and I went to primary school in Benin, and from there to I was due to go to secondary school in Warri. And the summer before I went to secondary school in Warri, actually my father had a car accident and had to be airlifted to London. And so my mother came with him and brought me with him because she was looking after him in the hospital.
Mm.
And I was very excited coming back to London. I thought that I would watch football. That
Yeah.
was before Premier League. They didn't used to call it Premier League in
Premier
those
League.
days. It
Yeah.
was Division One.
Yeah.
That's what they used to call it. And I was looking forward to watching Division One and on the TV, not forgetting that I was coming back in the summertime and the league program had finished.
I'll be finished. Yeah.
So every day my mother would go to the hospital to see my dad and leave me at home. I switch on the TV. I just see these men wearing white walking around on the TV. The first day I see the men walking around. The second day walking around. I said, well, if this is what is going to be on the TV every day, let me find out what they are doing.
Okay.
That was the summer of 1981. It was the England-Australia series where Ian Botham played a pivotal role. So in fact, the first test match I watched was Headingley 81, where Ian Botham snatched victory from the jaws of defeat.
Okay.
And after that match, I was hooked on cricket. That was all I wanted to play. So after that summer, I went back to Warri. I was lucky that Warri happened to be one of the schools that actually played the game.
Yeah.
So I remember the first day when they called us as new students coming into Form 1, they said, we are going to teach you a new game. Nobody amongst you will have heard of this game before. The game is called cricket. I put up my hand and said, I know it, I know it. How can you know it? Nobody knows it. And then when I started to tell them about what I learned over the summer, they realized, okay, this boy actually knows what he's talking about. And that was how it started for me.
Wow, interesting. I would have thought that you played cricket at a young age in the UK, then went to Nigeria, because that was what that was the pattern we knew in Nigeria. People would have lived in England or South Africa, then come back to school, then teach everyone. So that's quite interesting. So from there, you played Warri. Did you play any of the age group competitions, NNPC and all those things?
Actually, I was due to play what they call the Quara 85. I was selected in the Bender State team that was due to go for a tournament in Quara 85. The team left from Warri to go to Ilorin. And at that stage, I was in 1985. I was just 14 years old.
Yeah.
And I sent a message to my dad that I've been selected for the state team and that I wanted to go. And he sent a message back saying, "You are not going anywhere."
Yes, I was going to say that. We're talking about states for a secondary school student, that would have been a very, very young age, and why would you want to do that? Wow.
Well, I was a little bit ahead of where I was from a class. So the people that I was playing with were senior to me, most of them, and indeed I was certainly the youngest person that was selected in that squad. But in his wisdom, my father did not allow me to go for that tournament. And the following year, in 1986, I actually moved back to the UK. So I didn't have an opportunity to play age group cricket in Nigeria after that. Interesting.
We will get to that, but I still want to. There's something that still needs a little bit of clarification. So you watched the cricket. You watched 1981 Ashes. You actually did not play the game. You only watched it on TV.
So after I watched it for a couple of days, actually, I had an elder brother who played, who was based in the UK.
Okay.
Not Tom that you know very well, my most senior brother. Okay. And so actually he was the one that when he was not working, he would come and explain to me, okay, this is what's happening, this is what the bowler is doing, this is what the batsman is doing. And after a few days, I persuaded him to take me outside to the net and start to show me how to play. And I was lucky, the house next door to us, there were two boys in that house. Yeah. And over the summer, they would call me when a new boy had arrived on the street. So I became part of their crew. And pretty much every day we would go to the park with bat and ball, and that's how I started to play.
Okay, interesting. Okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense now. All right, so one thing again that's very interesting about you is from secondary school you went back to the UK for university, but you still kept in touch with everyone. You actually know more people in cricket than myself, who schooled all the way in Nigeria. So how did you keep in touch? How did that happen?
Yeah, in a couple of ways. First of all, the FGC Warri community, like a lot of the secondary schools in Nigeria, is a very strong community. So I've always been in touch with my classmates from that time, people that I played cricket with at that time, as well as other things. And so I never really lost that connection. But the other thing that really enabled that was indeed the formation of the London Nigerian Cricket Club, because I was just finishing university at that stage, so 1991. And I was talking to my brother about the fact that there were a number of cricketers that had come to London, people who used to play in Nigeria that I was in contact with, and it would be good if we could form a team that could bring that community together. And that's really, as you know, the starting point of being able to build that long-standing link between the cricket community back home in Nigeria, and if you like, the Nigerian cricketing diaspora here in the UK.
London. Okay. Cool. Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, good to hear that. So I was looking, I should mention this. I was looking at, now that you mentioned Tom and how you started London Nigerians, I was looking at, I Googled your name on Google just to find out, just to pass on to the guys how to introduce you and all that. Then I saw something about Tom's younger brother, aka Tom's younger brother. I said, wow, this is interesting. I said I should mention that. Anyway, good. So let's quickly go into your top 11 and the top 3 now. Then okay. I see you're well prepared for this one. Yeah. So yeah, let's go to that top 3 and reason why you picked this top 3.
Very good. So just by way of introduction, when I was thinking about this, of course, there are so many great cricketers really from Nigeria that I've either played with or watched or heard about over the years. So it's a challenge to narrow that down to 11. But I decided to pick people that I played a good amount of cricket with, that I had the opportunity to see up close and personal. So my top 3, I will start with a gentleman who normally goes by the name of Bullet, also known as Bumi Olofawo. Is a single-minded batsman and someone who just accumulates runs wherever he goes. I'll tell you one anecdote about him. He joined a new club somewhere in South London, and I used to check their scores online every week. And the first time he played for them, he played in their 4th 11, he scored 100. The next week he played in their 3rd 11, he scored 100. Next week he played in their 2nd 11, he scored 100. They put him in the first 11, he scored 80 not out. Then somebody posted, "Are we going to put him in the 0 team? Where is he going to go now?"
Wow. I'm sure not a lot of the younger guys familiar with this name and all that. Yeah, I think I've met him before. Yeah, you would normally say Bullet.
Exactly.
Wow,
exactly.
Interesting. Wow.
But he did play for Nigeria, obviously, and he didn't play probably as much as he would have done had he been, because he was based in the UK. But I remember that he scored, I think it was about 160 in a quadrangular match in one of his appearances for Nigeria.
Wow, interesting. So Bullet, number 1.
Number 1. Number 2, a young man who I first saw in 2004 at the Simba Union Cricket Club in Nairobi. He goes by the name of Ademola Obi.
Wow.
And I was part of the Nigeria team for that tour. I had come in from the UK to join the team, and I was due to bat number 3, and Ademola Obi went out to open. We were playing Kenya A. The guy opening the bowling for Kenya A was a guy called Joseph Angara. And he had opened the bowling for Kenya in the World Cup the previous year in 2006.
Wow.
So I was looking at the guy. I was thinking, I remember that guy. I saw him on TV last year, and I was looking at this young boy.
This young boy.
Angara runs in, he bowls in the first ball, and Onikoi hits him over mid-off for 4. And I said, wow, what kind of mad boy is this? You know, international World Cup bowler. He didn't even take one ball to look at his first ball. Boom, he's gone.
Wow.
And ever since then, for the 16 years that I've seen him, ever since, that's the flair that he's brought to the game. And he will tell you, whenever I see him wherever it is around the world, I always tell him, it's you I've come to see.
Yeah, I know that a lot because during our discussions, you always talk about Onikoye a lot. Onikoye, you're always watching out for his runs, how much has he scored, and you're always after it. So now I understand the first impression and how it's gone that way. All right,
okay.
Cool.
Number 3, Number three is a gentleman who I learned a lot from. He used to come to my house. He was actually a classmate of my senior brother. He was from the generation above me, and he used to come to my house when I was a small boy at school, and he used to walk with his cricket bat in Benin City in the early 80s. To see somebody walking with a cricket bat is not a normal thing. And he came to my house one day. He saw me reading a copy of the Cricketer magazine, and he looked at me and said, you know how to play cricket? And then we became friends from that day on. He left my brother that he had come to see, and he sat down with me, and we talked cricket for the whole day. His name is Maurice Aselue.
Of course.
And what I love about him is just the classic nature of his stroke play. I even saw him batting just at the weekend, and the same shots that I remember him playing back in the 80s, you still see them in the quality of his stroke play today.
Wow, interesting. So it's more or less like, if you know the basics will follow you through everywhere you go. Interesting. Yes. So let's go back to life. Questions about life. We've seen Bullet in your top three: Bullet, Maurice, and Ademola Obi. So, what would you say cricket has taught you? You know, there are kids watching us now, and they will be wondering, this game, what's I go left in this game? So, what exactly?
You know, there's a popular saying which I know you've heard: cricket is life.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's so true from any direction you look at it. I find that there are always parallels to life in cricket. But let me just give you a couple. One of them is discipline. I think cricket teaches you to be disciplined. You know, you have to you have to learn your craft. You have to hone your strokes, whether it's as a batsman by practicing over and over again, whether it's a bowler by grooving your action, learning the different subtle variations that you need to deploy in order to make you successful. So I think one is the discipline. It teaches you about what you need to do to be successful in anything. That's one. The second thing I would say is that it teaches you how to deal with, you know, the twins of absolute ecstasy and abject agony. You know, disappointment and jubilation, because you can be a batsman who goes out on Saturday, the ball is coming out of the middle of your bat, it's flying to the boundary. Before you know it, you've raised your bat, you've scored 100. You come back the next day, you're thinking, yes, today I'm going to score another 100. One ball just leaves you a fraction, takes the edge of your bat, and you find yourself walking back to the pavilion, and the rest of the day you're sitting there wondering, you know, what happened to my day? So I think being able to deal with the ups and downs of life is another thing that cricket teaches you. And I'll give you a third one just, and then I'll stop. I think being able to deal with different people, different characters in all walks of life. When I was younger, I played football and I played cricket. Football, I played Sunday morning, I turn up, I played in 90 minutes, everybody says, okay, bye, you go. I played with the guys, but I didn't really know them. In a game of cricket, you are with those guys all the way through the day, and you learn about the people that you're with. You learn how they deal with different situations. You learn their different mentalities. So you learn to deal with a wide range of people, both from their backgrounds, but also their personalities. And I think that equips you very well for dealing with other parts of life.
Yes, we're going to probe that a little bit more later on. We're going to be picking it. We're going to be asking questions as a captain and all that, but let's put that aside. So there is a quick test for you. What do you know about the Ibadan Metropolitan Cricket Club?
I know a little about the Ibadan Metropolitan Cricket Club. As you know, I had the opportunity to move back to Lagos in 2008. I was working for Shell. And so in 2008, I started playing regularly in the Lagos League. I played for the FGC Warri All Students Cricket Club, and we started in Division 2. And so, in fact, one of the very first matches that I played in the Lagos League was at Unilag against Ibadan Metropolitan Cricket Club, and that was my introduction to the club. And of course, I've always known them throughout that period as one of the cores of the Lagos Cricket League. And although I didn't have the opportunity ever to go, but I've always looked at the Ibadan Easter cricket that that happens, and I know is something that community has been a pillar of pushing forward.
Oh, fantastic! You kind of passed that, so we are fine. So nobody can question us. Why did you bring Roland? He doesn't know you, but yeah, you passed that. That's fine. Yeah. So have you been to Ibadan before?
I have been to Ibadan, but actually not since I was a small boy. The very first thing that took me to Ibadan was actually the same accident that I mentioned that my father had. Before he was airlifted to the UK, he first went to the hospital in Ibadan. And so actually I stayed there. My mother took me there and I stayed there for a couple of weeks while they were preparing for him to be airlifted out. So that was the longest period that I ever spent there. Otherwise, I've had the odd day trip from Lagos there and back. But actually, I've not had the opportunity to play cricket in Ibadan, which is a shame.
Yes, and that is why I asked the question. Because in Lagos, you have been sold a lie. Because the best cricket pitch in Nigeria, as at, let's say 2 years ago, before the turf and all that, would be Ibadan. And I say this because Ibadan is the closest thing to a tough wicket. So whether you are in a University of Ibadan cricket pitch or you are Liberty cricket pitch. So if you have the chance, just try and make sure you play your cricket.
I will put that on my to-do list.
Yes, to-do list, yes. So it's great hearing from you, and we will now go to the part of cricketing as a cricket captain, right? What do you bring to the team as a cricket captain? What's the most essential thing?
Yeah, captaining a cricket team, I will be honest with you, I've done it a lot over the years. But very rarely have I done it out of choice. It is something that has always been thrust upon me. I was, actually I was captain of my class in Warri, simply because I was the only person who knew the rudiments of the game. So they said, okay, you can captain the side. So that was my first sort of little foray into captaincy. But really, I joined a club when I came to the UK called Sheen Park. And at the age of 19, they asked me to captain the Sunday team at Sheen Park. Because I didn't know at the time that they were setting me up, because nobody wanted to captain the Sunday team. Everybody wanted to captain the first 11, second 11, but Sunday was difficult. Players didn't want to play. You had to arrange teas. But I thought it was a great honor. They gave me the honor of captaincy as a young man, and at that time in UK in the early 90s, as a young black man in a club where I was at that time the only black person in the club, I felt it was an honor that I couldn't turn around. So that was really my first experience of captaincy, and I learned on the job. I'd had no real preparation for captaincy. One of the things that I would say, starting from there, but I've learned throughout my career as a captain, is it is much a question of managing people as it is managing the game. You have to figure out how you get the best out of any particular person in any particular circumstance. You have to figure out in what circumstances do I deploy this resource versus that resource. So for some people, you need to be firm with them. You need to be hard on them and say, look, I need you to bowl in this channel to this field. And if you don't do it, I take you off and bring the next person. And then they respond to that. Other people, you need to boost their ego. You need to talk to them. You need to explain to them what a wonderful bowler they are, and give them that space. And even when they bowl one or two bad balls, you encourage them, because that's how you're going to get the best out of them. There are some people who, I played for a long time in Sheen Park with a gentleman. His name was Mike Cooper. He was a fantastic cricketer. He was actually a professional cricketer, but then he decided that he could earn more money as a finance professional. That, again, that time cricket didn't pay a lot of money even in the UK. So he left his job as a professional cricketer and became an accountant. And then he came to play with us because we were the nearest people to him in his team. He was a fantastic cricketer, but he didn't like it when things were tough. When the wicket was green or wet, yeah, he wouldn't perform. So what we used to do is we would save him. So me and the others would go to the front, we would deal with the new ball. When things had calmed down, he would come in 5-6 and he would destroy the bowling, score 150, 180. But if you put him at the front, he didn't like that situation. There are others, another gentleman who perhaps you will know, Kieran Pierce, who I played with, for example.
Yeah.
They love when situations are tough. They would say, put me. I would, when the ball is nipping around, when the pitch, then I want that challenge. So a lot of captaincy is knowing about when is the right time to deploy the resources that you have.
So that's actually key in captaincy, more than the field setup, the team setup is.
I mean that everybody can
everybody
learn
should
that,
know
right?
that.
Yeah. Those are your table stakes. But I think what takes you above that is that extra dimension of really being able to get the best out of your people.
Great. So I want to assume that you've captained FGC Warri before.
The league team.
The league team, yeah.
Yes, I did captain the league team for 4 seasons. Yes.
Have you captained the national team before? No.
I have not captained the national team. I was vice captain once, but I was not captain.
All right. So I know that you've captained FGC Warri, you've captained London Nigerians, you've captained Shin Park. Which one would you, in your opinion, would you say is the toughest?
They're all difficult for different reasons. In some ways, I would say Shin Park, after that initial year, was probably the most straightforward, because particularly when I moved on to captain the league side in the first 11, everybody kind of knew their job. Everybody had their stuff sorted, so all I had to do was worry about the on-field stuff, and I was fortunate to have a great team that I captained at that time. Let me go to the FGC Warri Old Students for a moment. The challenge there was a lot. There were a lot of young boys. It was an interesting side. So it was a mixture of older guys like myself, who I played together at school, and a lot of the youngsters. And the challenge there was often blending the young and the old, and getting that to try and gel as a cohesive team. And again, being able to sometimes break down that barrier a little bit between the old guys and the young guys, but make everybody feel that we are part of one team working towards a whole. And that wasn't an easy thing. Sometimes I think sometimes we succeeded, but not every time we succeeded. And then if I come to London Nigerians is another challenge altogether. From the challenge of the wide range of personalities that you get. Everybody, I always say, in recreational cricket, what is it that brings everybody to the field that day? You have so many other things they could do, particularly, as you know, in London, there's always other things that either you should be doing or you could be doing. So what is it that makes all those 11 people come to that game that day? And what is it that's going to make them come back again next week? For some, is I want to win this match. I want to be in a competitive team. I want us to do well. For other people, is I want to bat number 3. For somebody else, is I want to eat jollof rice. So you have to figure out what is it that each person is looking for, and how do I make sure that they get it so that they come again next week.
Yes. Interesting. Wow. So yeah, I see what you're saying, and it varies, and you need to be smart to do that. So before I ask my next question, right, there is something happening in the, I don't know if you noticed, in the chat below us, and it's between OAU, Ibadan, OAU is better, Ibadan, cricket is better, and all that. So in actual fact, there is usually a rivalry between the Ife and OAU universities. I'm sorry, Ibadan and OAU University. It has extended to our pitch is better, your pitch is better. So people were trying to correct me that the OAU wicket is actually more like a turf, even though it's got a small perimeter and all that. but again, I need to make it clear to Onikoyi. Forget it. That's a story. Anyway, this is why I talked about that. So the question to you is, do you think you missed out in university cricket in Nigeria, in the festival cricket in Nigeria? Because I know that around you, sometimes when we're at games or WhatsApp group, people talk a lot about, oh, in 1990 something, in 1980 something. Do you think you missed out? Is that something?
Yes, I do, because indeed I hear those conversations and I can't participate in them. But I had great experiences in a cricketing context. I had great experiences elsewhere. So I would have missed out on those. The one thing that I do regret, and in fact, one of my friends who went on that for that tournament reminded me of it last week, and he said, "I'm sure you still regret that." And I said, "Yes." Was the thing I said to you earlier about not being able to go for that Kwara 85 tournament. I was sad with hindsight that I didn't have that opportunity to go with that team for that tournament. But apart from that, as I say, I was fortunate enough to play. I went to university in London. I played for London School of Economics. I played university cricket there. So I played in Sussex. I played in Kent. I played in Reading. I played in Essex, all around the country. So those are also experiences that I'm very fond of.
Yeah, so that's a very good point you've made there. University cricket in London, right, in England so far. So I remember when I was doing my master's, I tried to enroll in University of Bedfordshire cricket team, and they were going to put me in the 4th team. So is that what it is? Is that what it looks like at LSE and some of the university?
Yeah, interesting. So I went to, I remember the same thing. So I went to the LSE for the first time, and you sign up with the cricket club, and I put my name down. They said, "Come to Lords." That's where I first went to the indoor nets at Lords. The nets that we were going. It was the LSE, and they are still there till today. When we go on Sundays, really? And you have when they close that side, and you have that big open side, and they all start running up and down. That's the University of London Cricket Club, including the LSE.
The LSE. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they've been there since the 80s. So that was the first time. And when they said we train at Lords, I was like, wow, I've arrived in cricket. This is how it's going to be.
Wow.
But on the point of the standard, I was lucky. I think that the LSE was it was a very cosmopolitan university, people from all over the world. Actually, not so many people from the UK, lots of Chinese students, lots of African students, American students. So actually the cricket playing population was relatively small. I remember though that the first net I went to, there was a guy who was just played for Pakistan under 19s who came to the net. He was frightening. The speed of the ball that he put down, I had never seen anything like it in my life before. But it was a very small, relatively compared to some of the other universities, a relatively small playing population. So actually, I got to play. I started in the second 11. They had 3 11s. I started in the second 11. But in the latter part of my first season, and then for my second and third seasons, I was able to make it into the first 11.
Wow, interesting. So I'm going to go into the next top 3, but this question is interesting, and Tishu has asked you, how do you switch off your British accent when you get to Murtala Mohammed Airport? I think he must have heard you, and this is quite confusing for him to say, okay, not be the same person. I know this.
It's both a funny question, but also a very deep one, and it's a very deep one at this particular time. I'm sure and I'm sure I know you've had some of the same experiences over the last few months. There has been a lot of discussion about the role of people from minorities, and particularly Black people in societies, both in the UK, in US, and all over the world. And one of the things that a lot of people who have been where they've been in the minority for a long period of time learn to do is what is called code switching. Which is you figure out what is the code that works in this environment, and you switch into that code. Then you go to another environment and think, that code no, they work for this side. Though. I switch to another code. And so that's one of the things that I have learned since I was a little boy is which code am I in at the moment, and therefore switch to that code. So when I'm in Warri at a Furun junction arguing with taxi driver, I need to know how I'm going to argue with him. When I'm in London making a presentation in number 10 Downing Street, I need to know what code I'm in. So that's one of the sort of life skills that you've learned when you have to straddle those different environments. Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask another question. This one, I'm saying for the first time, I'm coming. What has changed from your time in the national? Oh wait, this one is going to come back later. Let me pin it. So I'm going to go into your next top 3, top 11. Yeah.
Yep. So number 4 is a gentleman who I played with at school. In fact, he was somebody that I used to watch from the boundary and learn from his batsmanship. And I saw him for many years in many different contexts over the years. His name is Odewumi. And the thing that I like about his batting is just he has the right shot for every ball. If you bowl him a good length ball on off stump, he meets it classically and correctly and he defends it. If it's slightly over pitch, bang, it's 4 runs. And there's a thing that Ute and I always remind ourselves of whenever I see him, Mpingwe. There was a match that we had played for, we were playing for London Nigerians against a team called Mpingwe, the River of Runs. They scored 288, if I remember well. And they thought when we were going off at the break to have tea, they thought the game was over. And Ute met me in the crease, and we said, no, we are going to bring a river of runs to these guys today. And we took them down that day, and it was that his classical batting of every time you bowl him a ball which is slightly in the wrong place, bang, it's gone for 4, and that's what exemplified his batting.
Wow.
So he's my number 4.
Number 4. Yep.
Number 5 is a gentleman who you know very well. Who has really been a pillar of the London Nigerian Cricket Club, who I also played with on the national team. He bats, he bowls, he catches. Makonjola Akinyemi.
Wow.
And you know, for anyone who doesn't know him, you know, again, I remember the first time I met him was actually at the net in the Oval. The indoor nets at the Kennington Oval in South London. And somebody, I can't remember who it was, it might have been Capo or Mike Hart said, I'll bring somebody to join the team. And I remember him thundering in with his height and his frame, thundering in to bowl at me. And those days, you know, it wasn't usual for us to be wearing helmets. I didn't have a helmet. And I heard that first ball go past my ear. Whoom! And I thought, wow, this is somebody I'm going to have to keep my eye on. And it was the same with his batting. You've heard the noise he makes when he hits that ball. Exactly. And I've seen him do it again in the national team. I've seen him do it for London Nigerian. Just the power and energy that he brings to his cricket is tremendous. So he's number 5 for me. Yeah. And then at number 6, again, I will go to someone who I saw actually for the first time. I saw in 2000. In 2000, I was in Abidjan in Côte d'Ivoire. I hadn't picked up a cricket bat for 3 years. I'd left the UK in 97, and I was on assignment in Abidjan. No cricket in Abidjan in those days. And I actually got a call from Kwesi Sego asking me to come to Lagos for trials for the national team. And I told him, look, I haven't picked up a bat in 3 years, so you know I'm not sure how I'll perform. But actually, for me, the thought of just getting out of Abidjan for a weekend and spending a weekend in Lagos was enough that I packed my whites and I went there. I got out to a tall, skinny, lanky bowler by the name of Kunle Ademola, who just nipped one away from me, and it took my edge, and I was caught at slip. And that logged him in my mind. Any bowler who gets me out, I record them in my mind, and then I never forget them after that. And then I was lucky enough to play with him again in the national team, in first of all in 2004 and then in 2006, and not only see the development of his bowling from that sort of gentle away swinger that he got me out with in 2000. Now he was really hustling it in, coming with real pace. But more than that, the development of his batting, to the point where there was one of the seasons in Lagos where I saw him score 100 that was just fantastic in its execution. Just the way he built his innings, coming in, playing very carefully, very tight, pushing, taking the sharp singles, building that, and then in the second half of his innings, playing expansive shots, always effortless, never any power, never any real effort, but the ball would just be sailing to the boundary. And I think he became a fantastic all-rounder.
Fantastic. So before I close this chapter of these cricketing questions and move on to tougher questions, so I want to ask a question, and this is about what we do at Ibadan Metropolitan Cricket Club. We try as much as possible to bring in young players, develop their cricket, follow them up with school as well, say how they're doing in school, and making sure that they have that balance, right? So in terms of cricket, right, what would you say is important to teach a young fellow?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I think one of the things that I saw actually in Nigeria, and I think it's actually different in Nigeria compared to the UK, is how cricket opens up a community to you. I've seen, there are people who played cricket in Nigeria who are in their 80s, and there are people who played cricket in Nigeria in their 20s, and we are all part of one community. And I think, therefore, for any young person entering into the game, it's recognizing that you are not just playing a game, you are joining a community. And that community extends beyond just what you do on the field, but it also it gives you almost an entry into the club to say, I know that person is a cricketer, and that already gives you puts you on a certain footing, so that people look at you a certain way, they assume certain things of you, and therefore it is also incumbent on anyone who is part of that community to live up to that mantle of standards of behavior, both on and off the field, that merits that term, I am a cricketer.
Interesting. Fantastic. So just so you know, right, after every 1 hour, Instagram shuts us off. So what we do is we try to come back again, but we still have time. Yeah. So I will start going now into the deep side. So, and the first one is very easy. How do you manage to show up at the competitions Nigerian cricket team play in? You have a family, you have a wife, you have kids. How do you make it happen?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's not easy, to be honest. I am very lucky in that my wife understands and has always understood the passion that I have for cricket, and so when I tell her that, look, I'm going to Uganda for a week to watch cricket, it doesn't come as a shock to her, and I would tell you one thing is that I set that out very early, because when I was younger, I remember I meet a girl, we'll go out, we'll go for a date. And then I say, okay, what are you doing this weekend? I say, well, Saturday I'm playing cricket, Sunday I'm playing cricket, but I'm available Monday. By the next weekend, I don't see her again. So when I met my wife, I said at the beginning, I said, look, this is how it is. So on Saturday and Sunday, this is what I do. So let me know now. If that doesn't work for you, then let me know. so she has always known that. But then to the actual logistics of it, so I try and save my leave for those periods. And I try as much as possible to have advance notice of when competitions are coming up, so that I can plan around those periods. But actually, I think once I've decided that that's what I'm going to spend, that's what I like to do in my free time, so that's what I'm going to do. It's actually then very straightforward and very rewarding. I plan the logistics. As I said, my family know that's what I'm going to do. When sometimes I come home and I tell my wife, okay, it's your turn now. She would take a week off. Maybe she'll go with some of her friends and she would travel. I will stay at home. So that's the quid pro quo that we have for that.
Okay. Yes, I was going to say that this thing is more than informing somebody 20 years before, because some of us have actually informed our wives about this, but it still doesn't happen. So I think that my next question, you already answered it. What do you, there's something extra that you do is also given time. In fact, for some of us, they don't like the time. You have to force them, but I think it works for you, and people should just find the balance. I ask these questions because I'm sure a lot of people are here. We discuss this all the time, and it's the same thing that's happened. They got break the code after 2 years. Yeah. So yes, that is the norm. So the first 2 years, everything is fine. Then after 2 years, no, it's not happening. Yes. Yeah. So guys,
you have to push through. You have to push through. I remember there was a gentleman again that I played with at Sheen Park, and he was a fantastic batsman. He played every weekend, always scored runs. We used to call him the run machine. And then he stopped because his wife had a baby, and he said, "Don't worry, I will be back after 2 years. Just 2 years." I said to him, "If you stop, I guarantee you will never come back." Now he comes with, after 2 or 3 years we didn't see him. Then he started to come with his pram, and he will be at the side watching us. We'll be waving at him from the side playing. He will go around. He will do 2 laps. And then he will go home again. Never come back.
Interesting. So, guys, share you know the hair. All right, that's a quick one. So there is this question, and we're coming to the deep side. Like I said, you were involved in running the Lagos League for a while. How was that, particularly after moving back to the UK?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I was actually on the committee of the Lagos League for 10 years. Despite the fact that I was only in Lagos for 4 of those 10 years.
Oh, so yes, that's true.
Yeah. It was a very strange experience. But let me start with how I got into being in the Lagos Cricket League as part of the administration. And I must give credit to Mr. Akinleye for bringing me in. He was the chair at that time. And as the captain of Federal Government College Warrior Students Cricket Club, in my first season as captain, I was quite a big critic of the way the league was run. And I was often sending him emails complaining about this thing, complaining about that thing. And to his credit, he called me and he said, "Look, I can see that you have passion for this and you have ideas. So instead of being on the outside throwing stones at us, why don't you join us and help us to make it better?" And I thought, you know what, he has a point. If I'm going to be complaining, let me take it and see if I can help to improve things. So that's how I started. And I really appreciated having the opportunity to do that in the 4 years that I was in Lagos. When I was leaving, the then chair, I think by that time, Tunde had handed over. It must have been to Femi Sholebo, or he was just about to hand over. And he said, we are in transition, so I don't want there to be too much change on the committee. So it'd be good if you could just stay on for a little while. And I know you'll be abroad, but I'm sure you still have something to add. And so I stayed for another year.
But Roland, that decision, you were ahead of time, because now it would have been easy. It would, everybody was
Exactly.
from, yeah.
Indeed. And now it seems like, yeah, what was the big deal? 6 years ago, it was a big deal,
Yeah.
I used to do the league table. So I would be waiting at the end of every weekend for the match reports and the score sheets to come in so that I could update the tables and send it back. And then I said, okay, I'll do it for 1 or 2 years, but then, I think it's better that somebody on ground takes it on. And then there was another change in leadership, and then the new person came in and said, but I'm in transition, so it would be good if you could stay on for another couple of years. And before I knew it, I was thinking, I've been doing this for 10 years. Even Endurance came and met me there and left, and I was still there.
Interesting. Oh, wow, interesting perspective.
So last year, when Charles O'Meara said that he's standing there, I said, you people are not going to deceive me like that again. This time, I'm going, and you will find someone else to take it over. But it was a wonderful experience, and I was glad to be part of that.
So what's your perception about the Lagos League?
So now I'm distant from it, right? So yeah. I haven't seen it close up and personal for a while, apart from maybe the odd game here or there. But I think it has evolved a lot. If I look back, even if I look back to 2008 when we started, we were playing in whites. I remember when we took the decision as the exco to move to playing in colors, and that was a big decision. A lot of people were against that decision. They said, no, we are not ready for that. It will put too much pressure on the clubs. Let's not make such a big decision. But now it's normal, right? And yeah. You look around the world, it's what a lot of other leagues are doing. So I think again we were quite advanced in thinking in some things. The thing that I possibly regret that has held the league back a little bit is the availability of facilities. We really haven't had the number and quality of grounds to really grow the game. That, I think, has been the limiting factor. I think if we'd had those facilities by now, we wouldn't be talking about 10, 12, 14 clubs. I think we could easily have been into the 20, 30 clubs, multiple divisions, and have really spread the game much wider.
You say that, but me and you, we know Nigeria a lot, right? For you to have one venue or one event place, right? It's difficult to maintain. If you have 3 or 4, how would that have happened? It would have been a disaster as well. Well, that's what I think. How do you think it would have coped?
I think it comes down to the passion and intent of the people involved. I think if you look now at what's happening with cricket now, and you look at what's happening, for example, in Benin and the redevelopment of cricket there, I know, as you mentioned, Ibadan and the pitches there, and Ife has also been mentioned, and it takes a relatively small group of people to have the passion and power and desire to really make something happen. And I think that there have been a couple of missed opportunities in Lagos. I look at Unilag and how that sort of went down, and hopefully I hear it's coming up again. So hopefully that will be the case. And a couple of other grounds that I think with a bit more investment, and I'm not talking just money. Money is important, but really investment of time and effort. I think that we could have, we wouldn't have had 10 grounds, but 3, 4, I think we could have done more in that area.
Okay, this is coming from somebody called Nigerian Digitals.
I know who that is, yes.
You have been a strong follower of cricket in Nigeria for a very long time. What would you say is really needed in the administration to grow the game to the desired level?
And that's a good question, and I think it touches a little bit on what we were just talking about. Is real passion and a real readiness to invest mentally, emotionally, as well as financially. I don't discount the importance of having the financial wherewithal, but I think you have to have the first 2 things first. if you don't have the real mental and emotional commitment, then the money alone is not going to solve it, or you will not find the money to solve it. So I think you need those three things to go hand in hand. And it needs to be, again, we were talking about this in a different context the other day. It needs to be more than just one individual or a couple of individuals. You need a base of people who all have that same vision, mindset, so that it becomes self-sustaining. That if one person suddenly is not there anymore, they have to do something else or they leave, that the whole thing doesn't fall down and you have to build it again. You need enough people that the structure is self-perpetuating.
Critical mass.
Critical mass, exactly.
So now that you've started talking like, so let me challenge you a bit.
Yeah.
Right. So if you know, Tayo Atoloye has been here. Dele Oshodi has been here, and if you know Dele Oshodi, he's so passionate about cricket, and he left to him, he wants to sack everybody and starts afresh and all that. But one important thing that they talked about was selling the game to the corporate world. If, for example, I know you say God forbid now, but if, for example, you are the chairman of cricket or the NCF president, how will you sell this game to the corporate world to bring in the required finance?
It's a good question. It's one that I thought about actually when I was in Nigeria. I didn't have the opportunity to test some of the thoughts that I had at that time. So I can't tell you for sure that this would work, but I do think that there is an opportunity there that we have not explored to its full potential. I see a lot of, or I certainly saw when I was in Lagos, a lot of corporate money going into sponsorship of all sorts of things, and they're the obvious things, like football, but some of the things that were really not so obvious. And I remember looking sometimes and thinking, a company has money to put into sponsoring this event, and yet, we can't find somebody to just put a banner up at TBS. Yeah, you're back now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that me?
Well, it was on. It might have been me. But you're back now. But I think there's an addressable market. But again, it comes back a little bit to the code switching thing. I don't think we have spoken the language of that market, or gone to the effort to find the people who can actually provide that sponsorship. I've seen examples of it. I remember, I know GTA Guarantee Trust brought for a while. We're bringing quite a bit of sponsorship into the game. As just one example, there are others. So I think if we had, and if we do invest more time in finding out who are the people who make those decisions, what are the criteria on which they're making those decisions, and how do you market that to them? I'll give you one very specific example. I don't know if you remember the London Nigerian store we did that was sponsored by FCMB and by Virgin. Exactly. So we effectively got that whole tour paid for by the corporate world. A cricket team going from London to Nigeria. Who's gonna sponsor that? If you saw it on TV, you said that's a crazy thing. But we found that the people in those organizations who had those decisions to make, and we said, this is something different. And what are you going to get out of it? Where are the column inches? Where are the TV pictures? Where are the articles that we are going to write on your behalf that are going to appear in these magazines that you can then take back and show to your PR departments as this is return on investment. I'll give you one other slightly odd example of that. When I was in Nigeria, I had a Dutch colleague who worked with me, and I would always tell him every weekend, I'm going to play cricket. He said, what is this cricket that you people are playing? So, and I showed him from our office, you could see TBS. So I pointed at the pitch. I said, that is where we play cricket. He came and watched.
Just a quick one. So our timer is going down, and I don't want us to miss this point. Your Dutch friend, you point to cricket page, and we're going to come back. Please.
Okay, we'll come back. Okay.
Cool. 3, 2, 1.